يا رحمن ساعدني يا رحمن اشرح صدري قرآن املأ قلبي قرآن.
My name is Abubakar. I was born in Gombe on the 8th of August 1958 to late Ambassador Ali Gombe and Aisha Gombe. They were Almighty bless them and forgive them their shortcomings. Well, to start with, I was born a nomad. Thus, I will explain what I mean by I was born a nomad throughout my educational training and then the career service. I started my primary school at the then Jankai Primary School in Gombe in 1964. And my father then just came back from his training and he was offered a job in Kaduna. And we had to move, just after starting our primary one, we had to move to Kaduna and again started primary one to 1965. So we had to be reset again. And that was at Sultan Bello Primary School, where we trained there up to 3 and came back to Gombe and stayed there at Central Primary School, Primary 3, Primary 4, and we again came back to Kaduna for Primary 5. And Primary 6, first term, we were in Gombe. Second term, we were in Mubi, demonstrations at primary school. And third term, we moved to Maiduguri. So that was where I finished my primary school at St. Patrick's Primary School in Maiduguri. I then joined, got a role at Government Secondary School, Maiduguri, now Government College, Maiduguri, during 1972, January, and 1976, June. After that, I gained admission into the School of Basic Studies, the then School of Basic Studies. It was initially Northeast College of Science and College of Science and Technology. It was changed to School of Basic Studies when we joined between 1976 and 1978. After that, I gained admission into the medical school, still in Maiduguri between 1978 and 1983. I graduated as a doctor in 1983. We were the first batch of University of Maiduguri Medical School. I went for my MISc in Benue State. Came back and started the residency program. We were admitted at the University of Maiduguri for the residency program and sent to the University College Hospital in Ibadan in 1986. I started the full residency in 1986 at Ibadan and graduated with a fellowship in internal medicine in 1991. After that, I came back to Maiduguri as a lecturer, stroke consultant, a lecturer with the University of Maiduguri and a consultant with the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital. Having been the pioneer students there, we had to come back and nurture the institution. So I worked with them and went into partly administration, partly clinical services. I was appointed the Deputy Chairman MSc, Medical Advisory Committee in 1993, and then led the Chairman of the Medical Advisory Committee, who deputizes for the Chief Medical Director in 1995. I was then called on to serve as the new Medical Director of the Gombe Referral Hospital, which was converted to Federal Medical Center in 1996. So we nurtured the institution. We we started the institution, nurtured it with nostalgia. It was an uphill battle, but alhamdulillah, we got a lot of support from the people of Gombe State. And because everybody was enthusiastic, we had to battle all the way through. We had to look for people from different parts of the country. Then the onus was on me to scout around for consultants and doctors. By doctors, I mean those that can be trained as consultants. Those that have graduated, they are working either as medical officers or they have just graduated. So we had to start getting people around. And having enjoyed the training program that was instituted by the University of Maiduguri, we had to start similar program in Gombe. That was around 1997, 98. And we started training, sending students, postgraduate students, to other institutions for training. And after my first term, I started in 1996, and halfway into my first term, I was appointed as the Minister of State for Health in 1998, which I finished in 1999. And alhamdulillah, that helped us in further supporting that institution to what it is today. Along the line, we managed to get more people coming into the institution. We got more equipment into the institution, and that became a solid foundation for the institution to take off. When I finished my national assignment as the minister, I came back and continued with my job as the medical director of the institution. Now, shortly after I came back, I was appointed a director with the Federal Civil Service. Now, the dilemma was whether to go into the Federal Civil Service, core Federal Civil Service. Yes, appointment as medical director was a Federal Service appointment, but it's a parastatal appointment, not a core Federal Service appointment. So the dilemma was whether I should go as a professional or whether I should go as an administrator. Now, going as a professional meant I was going to be stuck to the Ministry of Health and no movement and no experience, diverse experience within the Federal Civil Service. Now, my late father, having been a civil servant through his life, I consulted him and he advised that at that time, if you want to be a better public servant and civil servant, join the core civil service as an administrator. Now, I applied to the Federal Civil Service Commission for conversion, and alhamdulillah, I got converted from career professional cadre to an administration cadre. And so I was not restricted to the Ministry of Health alone. The advantage was, at that time, I moved from one ministry to the other, gained experience. I was initially at the Ministry of Petroleum Resources as Director of Finance for about 4 years. I moved to the Federal Ministry of Environment as Director, Office of the Permanent Secretary. I moved in 2007 to the Federal Capital Territory as Secretary for Health, and in 2008 2009 I moved to the Ministry of Defense as Director of Planning, Research and Statistics. So that helped me, really. That exposed me to many people, that exposed me to experiences of many people, that exposed me to characters of human beings in diverse areas. And unfortunately, rather fortunately or unfortunately, after I moved to the Ministry of Defense, the government in its wisdom brought out a new circular indicating that whoever was a director for 8 years had to retire. And I was just 51 years old. I had 9 years to retire, but I had been a director at the Federal Civil Service for 10 years. So I had to retire. I prematurely retired at the age of 51. But alhamdulillah, that helped me a lot. That gave me contacts in this country. That gave me experience by working with different people, different cadre of people. And we'll just continue to thank Almighty Allah for all that. Now, when I was retired, I thought probably I should retreat into my shell and think twice about what to do next. So I went back to Gombe. After some time, I thought I should do some contract job. Contract, not doing work somewhere, but contract as a consultant. So I became, again, a nomadic consultant. So I was moving from Gombe, Bauchi, ATB Teaching Hospital, and Federal Medical Center every month. Every month I will move from Gombe, work for about 10 days here, move to Bauchi, work for about a week or 10 days, move to Yola, work for about a week to 10 days, and then I'll come back. And the cycle continued the following month. Now that again brought me back to my base. That's my profession. And again, I met different people. Although, yes, they were far back, my juniors, but it is not the age that matters. It is the gift that Almighty Allah has given somebody. You may not know, but some of the basic discoveries in medicine were made by house officers. House officers are those that have just graduated and they are trainee doctors before they are given full certificate. So it exposed me to my colleagues now across the Northeast, and that was so helpful. Now, after some time, I had to retire fully. When I got to the age of 60, I said, no, enough was enough. I now retire. But I had a backup plan. I had a company that I established when I was when I was in public service. But there was no way I could run the company. I had to ask somebody to run the company for me. So when I fully retired, I thought probably I should come back and take over the company. And that company is Inex Cleaners. And alhamdulillah, today, that company has served us so much that within Gombe alone, we have over 4,000 staff employed within Gombe. We have jobs across the country. We have jobs in Abuja, we have jobs in South, in Abuja, different places, AEP, the Abuja Job Protection Board, the Petroleum Trust Fund Headquarters, Equalization Fund Headquarters, then Ministry of Water Resources, Abuja Job Protection Board, and a lot of other places already. So that has now given me some bit of fallback position rather than just idling at home. Because once you sit down, that's the chance of deterioration, physical and mental deterioration also. And probably that's why you followed me up to this place, because I have other jobs that I'm doing here that keep me busy. So that's it as per my experiences so far in life. Now let's go back to my training as a doctor. I said when we started, things were a little bit tough, the administrative side of it, but there was some moral discipline. I recall we had to go through different phases. Everybody had to be on his toes at that time. I and my other colleagues who were activists, the administrative side and the clinical side, the present Vice Chancellor of the State University, who apparently was chairman, medical advisor, finally I left. So we had sleepless nights in terms of following people to ensure people were working as a unit. Now, yes, government in its wisdom did allow people to practice, do some private practice, then I found out that the law was clear at that time. If you're going to do any private practice, you must do it outside the confines of the duty hours that you sign you will do. And therefore, if it is after closing hours and you were not on call at that time, then you can go for a private practice. Alhamdulillah, I've never done private practice in my life. I walked through and through in government establishment. But that was my choice, and that still is my choice. So people were abiding by the terms at that time. Unfortunately, I have seen over the years where people will be establishing clinics and then operating these clinics during working hours. So much so that sometimes you have to go and look for people in their private clinics to come back to the hospital, which is really, really a sad development. And I think government needs to look into this properly. If you're going to work for government, please for God's sake, go work for government. If you think you want to go and do private practice, go and do a private practice. Then not during working hours, especially during the peak hours that you're expected from morning till noon or 1 o'clock. That's the time mostly that the hospitals are filled up. So people should endeavor to change this sort of attitude. But that notwithstanding, the good side of it is, alhamdulillah, today there's so many people that have been trained in that hospital. They are now consultants. They are training our younger ones. And if you get to the hospital now, you see a lot of indigents of Gombe that are in that hospital. Yes, there are other people from other states. It's a national hospital. But I think we need to do more with the present trend of events in order to sustain that tempo. We should learn to encourage the younger ones, give them the incentives to come into the medical school. I know the state government, I don't know what it is, whether it is still existing, used to sponsor medical students, used to give them in service as medical students, give them salaries, so that when they come back, they sign a bond and serve the state for a certain number of years. But that needs to be looked into. When you are looking for something, when you want to build a society, it is an issue of give and take. It's not an issue of sticking to the law, to the latter. If the young students that have graduated that are indigents of Gombe, they have passed the MBBS certification and they've come out after service, if there is an opportunity, my advice is, as quickly as possible, keep the bond aside, send these young chaps to school. Let them go back to school as quickly as possible so that they can come back as consultants, and we should have a significant number of co-consultants that are indigents of Gombe within our states so that they can train other people to come up and take over their responsibilities. Now, if that is not done, which unfortunately has not been done from the state point of view, which I have advised different governments of Gombe State, because I'm a beneficiary of that kind of training, where when we immediately came back from NYSC, without any hesitation, the authorities just picked us up as the first batch of students from University of Maiduguri. We were sent to Ibadan, some were sent to Benin. And within 5 years, we came back. The University of Maiduguri continued with that policy to a level that in the Northeast, it got to a level that more than 75% of the consultant staff of all our hospitals were products of the University of Maiduguri. And that was what I was tweaking. That was my foresight. And it's still, I believe some people should carry on along that. For Gombe to start this kind of thing. I have said since I came back to Gombe in 1996, I've been hammering on the various state governments to please institute a training policy. And that's why we don't have enough consultants at the specialist hospital. If we don't have enough consultants at the specialist hospital now, you can imagine whether we have any consultants at the peripheral hospitals. So if we can do that, all the students that come out of the medical school should be encouraged. Yes, there is a bond, but sometimes it's a give and take. We should keep some of these things and endeavor to push them. The argument always is, okay, if they go, who run the hospitals? Of course, people will run the hospitals. Get people that are not interested in postgraduate training. They can come and become medical officers. But to cut the aspirations of a young doctor who wants to become a consultant, and you say he signed a bond, he has to stay in Gombe for the next 4 years or 6 years before he goes to school, I think that is not a policy. That policy has to change. So that as soon as they come out, you send them out to go and train. It's a sacrifice. The government should send them, let them train and come back. And then they will train other people. The state government lost some staff because of this policy. I recall there's a couple of them that just at that point in time, when they graduated and came back, and we pursued the state government to allow them go. The state government at that time refused, and they resigned. They resigned from the services of the state government, and they paid back the amounts that were paid to them to go and train. Today, alhamdulillah, we took them up, we sent them to school, and they train. They are consultants at the teaching hospital in Maiduguri today, and some of them are associate professors with the University of Maiduguri, with the State University. And that is the pride. It's not just you alone, but to see manpower development as the core to whatever you do. If we can train our people, be they administrators, be they professionals, please, the state will be better off for all of us. And I hope that this will be looked into by the various sectors. Now, the doctor has no social life virtually, unfortunately. It's a cycle. You wake up in the morning, you go to the hospital, you walk. If you're on call, you walk 24 hours. If you're on call. And then the following day, you're expected to come out in the morning and do your presentations to the consultant. That is a tedious job. Unfortunately, that's what we are appealing to the younger generation now, to imbibe that culture, to be patient and imbibe that culture and continue. But sometimes you realize that people, you look for them. They are on call. You look for them, you don't find them. I think there's the need to change that attitude. The appeal is to the younger ones. And this training is paramount. It is important for them to become something in life. If they don't do that, being a medical officer is not helpful. Being somebody that you just think you go and establish, after you've graduated with an MBBS, you establish a clinic, is not helpful. Because this knowledge is vast. You have to, even as a consultant, if you get to all of these hospitals, if you have a patient, patients are registered under a consultant. I'm a chest physician, I'm a respiratory physician, but if I have a problem, I consult my colleagues. That's the essence of teamwork. That's the essence of you training. But if you go and open a clinic, you are the sole alpha and omega. You don't know what you're doing. And patients, it is our people that will suffer. Always advise consultation. Liaise with somebody. But you can only do that getting experienced people if you are also experienced. Otherwise, people just put money first and forget the moral aspect of it. And I appeal to our colleagues to please look at the moral aspect of it. And there's nothing wrong in saying you've established a clinic, but abide by the rules and also keep to the terms. But the training is the most important. Even if somebody will open a clinic, for God's sake, let him go and do some bit of postgraduate training and enhance his knowledge and attend conferences here and there. Yes, we know that the resources are limited within the confines of government, but sometimes there is level of sacrifice. You have to also do some bit of it and then get some others from the state government. So I think that's the bit of it for the time being. I don't know whether
يا رحمن ساعدني يا رحمن اشرح صدري قرآن املأ قلبي قرآن